So hello, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. I'm the last of the presentation round. After me, you get to hear some the actual panelists. So I would also like to extend my thanks to the National Gallery of Denmark for hosting us today. It's a rare pleasure to produce an event in such august and graceful surroundings. I also want to thank all the staff here for their hard work, especially Estrid Bøje-Vik in the digital department, our dedicated technical staff, John Lewis and Troels Beck. And I'd also like to thank our artist, Peter Folkmar, who designed our handsome poster and website. And not least, the money. I'm eternally grateful to the Novo Nordisk Foundation for funding this event through the programming money associated both with my visiting professorship at the University of Copenhagen and with Yvette's postdoc here at the museum. And then finally, my greatest thanks go to Yvette, who has been an amazing collaborator as we brainstormed this event. And it has really been my privilege to form a collective of two with her. And I thank her for her creative and compassionate approach to everything that she does. So what is it then that we are calling the collective body? It is the body that appears in the many images of the imagined Soviet collective at work, play, or rest that dominate the figurative socialist art of the 1920s and the art that would be defined as socialist realist after 1932. The bodies are depicted as part of a collective, and the works of art in which they appear are made within the collective structures of the new Soviet art system that was coming into being by the late 1920s. A system that devised entirely new structures for collectively organizing art outside of the market. The words of the young artist Aleksandr Deineka that you see on the screen, written in 1918 when he was only 19 years old, he kind of came of age with the revolution, capture the fervor of the revolutionary moment. The new revolutionary pictures of the proletariat have the vividness and power of fairy tales. They have souls. We fall in love with them. They show us that the great shared work of the artist is in the collective. Deineka was praised as an artist with particular flair for depicting the proletarian body, and in particular, as you can see in this painting, the female proletarian body, emancipated by socialism, as part of the collective. So as you can see, the critic David Arkin in 1928 praised Deineka's works for conveying collective action and collective effects. The Deineka-type person is never alone and never isolated. When the Soviet person is shown alone, it is usually against a backdrop of the collective. Here on the left, an Uzbek woman holding a book by Lenin shows us the new collective institutions that are transforming her life. And you might note on the left here, or on the right, the veils that are being thrown off by her emancipated Muslim sisters in Uzbekistan. While on the right, avant-garde artist Valentina Kulagina depicts a monumental proletarian woman surrounded by photographs of other working women. As the Uzbek poster shows, Soviet socialist realism imagined the proletarian collective of socialism within the so-called fraternal republics of the USSR. And so obviously for today, one of the fraternal republics of the USSR was the Ukrainian Soviet Socialist Republic, as was also Uzbekistan. Soviet socialist realism also exported its image of the collective body across the globe. These two posters by the former constructivist Gustav Klutzis emphasize the anti-racist policies of the Communist International, or Comintern, that were formally adopted in 1928, showing the entire globe quite literally coming together in an interracial worker collective. My colleague Jonathan Flatley in the US has argued that these posters demonstrate, quote, the collective affective contagion of Soviet racial solidarity. The underside of the collective body is always lurking, however. Klutzis, who was Latvian, would be executed in the Great Terror in 1938 for the crime of bourgeois nationalism, for the crime of being Latvian. when Stalin temporarily turned his senseless violence onto the people of various national groupings. Klutz's many years of ecstatic depictions of the collective body notwithstanding. The best-known Soviet collective bodies, Vera Mukhina's monumental and gender-egalitarian Worker and Collective Farmer, were shown to the world at the International Exhibition in Paris in 1937, with the Spanish Civil War raging and another world war on the horizon. They faced, right across the square, the Nazi pavilion, deliberately juxtaposing Soviet worker solidarity against the racial hierarchies of Nazism. Inside the Soviet pavilion, Deineka's giant mural, painted collectively by a brigade, showed an onslaught of well-dressed bodies of a multi-ethnic grouping of overachieving Stakhanovite workers, again in contrast to Nazi racial theories. But it can also be argued, I think, effectively, that his painting also revealed the hierarchical nature of the Soviet fraternal republics, because the ethnically marked bodies are a few steps behind the Russian ones in front. So I mean here that they're kind of occupying the second row behind these well-known Stakhanovite workers. Viktor Karetsky's poster of the same year mobilizes Mukhina's famous statue of monumental collective bodies in conjunction with photographs that he took himself. He staged photographs of a multi-ethnic group of fighters, including here Spaniards fighting the Civil War, to emphasize the Soviet and global communist resistance to fascism. One of the most effective images of the collective body was seen in the enormously popular film Circus of 1936, where the entire Soviet nation is shown physically embracing a half-black child. So here you see the heroine of the film, Marion Dixon, is a white American woman who escapes America because she is ostracized there for having a half-black baby son. She comes to the Soviet Union and is embraced by the Soviets and becomes a member of the circus. And because this image of the collective body, I think, is so effective, I want to take a moment and show you a very short clip from the film. So we should start the film clip now, please. And this is a scene that shows her son, the half-black baby boy, being passed around within an ethnic group. Is there a problem?
Press the bottom again.
Okay. Okay, I seem to be the guinea pig for video problems. Hopefully the last. So I'm just pressing. Great. So they're singing a lullaby to him about how he's accepted in the Soviet Union. And we can see multi-ethnic singers here. And here's a Georgian with his mustache, and if you listen to the music, it has a Georgian instrument. That's his mother worrying. And now the singing is done by a Jewish actor, Michaels, and the music you hear is from a klezmer. And the little boy was the son of a black American who came to the USSR in 1932 and married a Ukrainian woman and had babies. And you can see there's just an emphasis on touch constantly. These are the circus managers who are very pleased. And then a black American singing with an American accent, with a blues horn in the background. And his white girlfriend who is embracing him. Okay, we could watch more, but we don't have time. So this powerful fantasy of multi-ethnic Soviet harmony that arose within the Comintern internationalism of the 1930s was continued by the socialist internationalism of the Cold War. And I will say that this movie was shown on Soviet television every New Year's Eve for decades. And just to end with the Cold War, when the Soviet Union supported the civil rights movement in the US and the decolonizing nations of the global South. So here, Viktor Karetsky, whose poster we showed, continued his photographic practice of portraying the collective body with images of African decolonization on the right, while in the poster on the left, the Ukrainian artist Timofey Yashuk contributed an image to the fervent Soviet support for the imprisoned Black American communist Angela Davis. So given the visual history of the collective body that I have attempted very briefly to outline here, of course, the current imperialist war of Russia against Ukraine, which is waged in the now grotesquely cynical language of the brotherly nations, signals the ruin of any vestiges of Soviet fraternalism or internationalism, and, as Yvette also said, the dismemberment of the collective body. So I will stop there. Thank you.